Good afternoon. Welcome in to another edition of Where the 99 Lead. I'm Andrew Joyce, joined by Dr. Reggie Overton, the athletics director at the University of Pikeville. Where the 99 Lead. It's a program brought to you by the University of Pikeville where we talk all things regarding the University of Pikeville. Academics, athletics, and today we'll touch on a little of both.
Yeah, I'm ready to roll. Anything you want to talk about, Andrew?
Dr. Overton, welcome in.
Thank you. Thanks.
Of course, a newcomer to the University of Pikeville community, almost a year now.
I don't know if you can call me a newcomer anymore. I might be one of the boys.
You've got to hit the 1 year mark.
Okay.
And then we'll take that tag
I better
away.
thought we'll go and make sure I can, make it another 3 months.
Dr. Reggie Overton, of course, you and I have had a lot of opportunities to spend time together at various athletic events throughout the community, but a lot of folks haven't, and a lot of folks that maybe aren't involved with athletics don't know Dr. Reggie Overton. Let's take a moment and back up, and let's get a little bio on you, where you came from, where your college career started, and how you landed at the University of Pikeville.
Well, I think I've told you this many times. Been around the pot looking for the handle. Some of the new people probably never heard that, but I know you've heard that a million times. It started in Gallatin, Tennessee. That's where my mother still lives, and I visit her quite often. It's in Middle Tennessee, close to Nashville. And went to undergrad at Middle Tennessee State. Was in the Army, did some things in the Army, cryptologist in the Army when I got out. Went back to school, was in a business program, always wanted to be in sport management, but I'd gotten too old to play or do anything like that, so I said I'm going to try to educate my way to the top. So first job after my master's degree was at Opryland Hotel in Nashville as a recreation manager. Didn't really suit me. It was a great job. Gaylord was a good guy to work with, but I still wanted to be in athletics, so I went to Temple University in 1990, August 13, 1990, and did some great things there as far as internships and got my doctoral degree. And somewhere in the mix, I found out that I liked teaching. I never would have thought in a million years, as hard a time as I had in the classroom,
Sure.
I never thought I'd be teaching. Mm-hmm. But got my doctoral degree, and my first full-time job as a professor was at Morehead State. Morehead State 6 years, was hired to start 2 programs at Virginia State in Petersburg, Virginia, and was there 10 years, and Governor Patton gave me a call last August, and here I am.
And here you are. When the governor calls,
it was impressive.
Folks answer.
That's right. When I was at Morehead, he was governor in the midst of his first term, and always respected the man and what he did. And when he called, get your attention. So he said, would you be interested? And I said, yeah, I'd be interested. And they tell the story now, but James Hurley hung up the phone, and I hadn't even got down the steps, and they'd called and said, when are you going to start? So I was
Sure.
impressed, and glad to make it. It's one of the best moves I've ever done. It's really
an exciting time.
Yeah, really
at the
is.
University of Pikeville. You were settled. You were at Virginia State.
Yep.
Had a place.
Yep. Still
settled
do.
in. Roots there.
Yep.
And had been there for a decade.
Right.
Why does Reggie Overton pick up roots and come to the University of Pikeville?
Actually, Morehead, I know we've over the past several months had some challenging times with Morehead State, but Morehead State does hold a special place in my heart. Had some great times there. I taught Kelly Wells in class. He'll debate and say I didn't teach him anything, but I think I taught him a couple things. Maybe I don't think he credited me once for that national championship, and
Right.
I'm still bitter about that. But had some good times there. Great people in Eastern Kentucky, and when I was there, I actually, of course, visited here several times and was impressed with the progression that Pikeville has done through the years, and with the hospital and the cut through years ago and the DO school. So I knew it was a special place. And looking now at the history and talking with some of the old timers here, and Robert Staggs will kill me for saying that, but people like Robert Staggs that were raised here, they tell me about Governor Patton and how good he's always been throughout the years for this community and for Pikeville College and now Pikeville University of Pikeville. So that's what impressed me, and it was a smooth transition. And again, I'm not going to look back. It was the right move, and I'm glad I did it.
Of course, you land on campus, an exciting time, record enrollment.
Yep.
And changes throughout the athletic department. Let's catch up on the athletic department. We're going to talk about an exciting part of the academic side
Right.
of Reggie Overton in just a bit. Talk a little about sports management, something you have a lot of history with. But let's talk about the athletics department, catch up on that, and I guess we'll start with the fall sports as they begin. And let's just talk about the state of the athletics program.
Well, as you just alluded to, we're very on very good solid ground financially. We've got some buildings going up, which are exciting recruiting pieces. As you know, we'll call it the athletic field house, which is going to be football offices, but it's going to be used by all sports. It's very impressive. John Holman would probably tell you, and I think I'm going to tell you this at this point, July 15th is when we want to move in there, when we have the turf, all of the weight equipment, all the offices, the furniture. That's what we're looking at, and it's very important we do that because football starts the first couple of days of August, so
Sure.
we need to get that done. We've got some other plans for some refurbishing locker rooms up at the Hambley Complex, which will be used by our men's women's soccer team and also our new program, lacrosse, that's starting next year. So those are the big things that are going on as far as construction. Team-wise, as you know, it was Dudley's first year. He's new just like I am, although I tell him every day now that newness is worn off. Now it's time for you and I both to get to work. So looking for good things out of him. He's got a good recruiting class. Kelly, I know Kelly is never satisfied unless he wins a championship, but we had what I think was given the losses that we had as far as personnel, we had a good basketball year. Billy Watson's on a recruiting trail and coming around with the women's program. We weren't satisfied with the direction it went last year, but with injuries and other
Sure.
things, that was a tough year for him. But
Had a loss on the roster before the
Exactly.
season ever began, and
Exactly.
then injury bug as well. So yeah, tough to overcome.
Yes.
That's basketball. I want to back up. Lacrosse, new
Yeah.
sport, and
Uh-huh.
it does start play in the fall.
It sure does, and we've got a young coach, very impressive young lady that's been helping Gary Justice too with admissions and traveling around, and I guess wearing two hats because that's a good recruiting piece since Gary does such a wonderful job with us with admissions and recruiting. So it's a sport that I don't know a lot about, to be honest with you, Andrew, and I'm sure you don't either because we don't have it in Eastern Kentucky.
I've watched a little and seen a little on television. ESPNU carries it, and
Yeah.
it's a tremendous sport.
I read something the other day in Sports Business Daily that it is the most popular sport among young people. And I'm not talking about the extreme sports like
Right.
snowboarding and flipping the bikes over the hill and things like that, but it is one of the more exciting sports and up-and-coming sports. The men, I think, obviously a little more aggressive. The women, it's more of a finesse game, just like basketball. But Erica Erb is our coach. She come from ODU, which is a very traditional powerhouse in Tidewater, Virginia. And Erica's going to have some challenges because it's new to Eastern Kentucky. She's going to Louisville and Lexington to recruit.
Sure.
And we're looking forward to it. I watched her one day out giving Staggs some pointers, and it wasn't pretty. So I think Staggs wanted to use it as a baseball bat. Doesn't quite work that way, but we're looking forward to it.
Should be exciting.
Yeah.
Of course, a sport that's similar without the equipment, soccer, a
Yeah.
growing program at the university as well.
We're looking forward, and we've had a great relationship with the city of Pikeville, and Donovan has done a great job, and Mayor Justice and the Pikeville High School AD and principal has really helped us in sharing facilities, and that's a really nice facility at Amos up there, and we're lucky to have that. And as I said, we're trying to finalize some plans. Governor Patton's real good at drawing out architectural drawings, and we're trying to get a nice locker room, concession stand up there. It'll be a good recruiting piece. Two good coaches, young coaches that are committed. We got a lot of impressive international students that are great students academically, but also are committed to soccer. And again, I'm not a big historian on soccer, but I do know for us to compete against the Lindsey Wilsons and those type of schools, and Rio, we need international players,
Sure.
and we've got some, and some really successful ones. So it's looking good for both programs.
Of course, volleyball, also another one of those sports, still plays at the Pikeville or at the University of Pikeville gym.
Yeah. And I don't think that's $25 fine since you said
Didn't finish
that.
it.
No, you didn't finish the sentence. But no, we're lucky. We got a 2-for-1 deal, which happens a lot at small universities. As you know, Chad Gassman, baseball coach, we hired him last, I guess, late August. And the volleyball coach fell in my lap. His wife, Shannon Gassman, played at Nebraska D1 school and just come up one day and we were talking and I said, well, would you be interested in this? And the girls love her. The young ladies love her, and she believe it or not, it's hard to love somebody when they got you up at 5 o'clock in the morning practicing.
Sure.
And so when those players say, hey, she's great, thanks, we love her, that's pretty good. They're special people, good for the community, and we're glad to have the Gassmans here.
Of course, the bowling programs, they've been successful since their start.
Mm-hmm.
And again, another national tournament run for the women's bowling program and the NAIA National Championship.
I'm lucky enough to I wish you could have been there, Andrew. It's exciting, and I'll quote Governor Patton on this. He said it's the most exciting sport he's ever seen. And I said, well, Gov, you might not want to say that in front of Kelly. And
he was in Kansas City.
So he did. He really said that. We went up, Hurley and I, Vice President Hurley and I went to Indy and saw him win the NAIA. And I'll tell you a quick funny story. It didn't take me long to realize that's the first championship I had been to, bowling championship. Ron Dameron walked around, and he was like Mick Jagger, or the young people won't know who Mick Jagger are, but a rock star. And people were coming up to him and asking for autographs and asking him everything. So I watched this, and when they started the final series, I found out that when I didn't watch, they would bowl strikes. So Hurley made me walk around in the parking lot. Not many people know this. Until the last frame, and of course we won. So that's a tradition now. I'll go, but I'll stay in the parking lot.
In the parking lot.
And then Gov and I went to Lincoln and saw them compete out there. And we knocked Florida State, knocked the Seminoles out, and it was impressive.
Sure.
I was proud of them.
It's tremendous program.
Yeah.
Dr. Reggie Overton, our guest, University of Pikeville Athletics Director. Bowling, also some success this spring out of the golf program, which is up and coming at the university as well.
I met a young man, and in our business we meet so many people, and I wish I could remember his name right now, but he come up to me the other day. He's an alum of ours, which I'm embarrassed I can't remember his name, but it had got out that Kevin, our golf coach, had directed our program to the first ever tourney victory. And, of course, subsequently he's been named Coach of the Year in the Mid-South, Kevin Oughton.
Right.
Well, this alumni said, that's not entirely correct. When I was here, we won a tournament. So there's some dispute there. This is about 20 years ago. We'll have to get Staggs and somebody on that is a historian, sports historian, to let us know. But Kevin, we'll just go with Kevin won one of the first tournaments we've ever had this year.
And you have to love that in a program that's up and coming with young golfers as well, young students who are getting it done in the classroom and on the course as well. Yep. And then baseball and softball wrap up the spring sports as well.
Baseball, Chad's a good guy. As I said, I taught him at Moorhead. He was in the same classes with Kelly Wells, a fine young man. Inherited some good players from our previous coach, and he's all about doing things the right way. And didn't win as many games as he wanted to this year, but he's laid the foundation. And I hate to use all the sports cliches. We get tired of hearing them, but he really has. He's done a great job with them in the classroom. He's got a great young assistant coach who, again, was a 2-for-1 deal. This young man's wife is one of our assistant trainers, Jim Pitt and Erica Pitt. So another 2-for-1 deal, and it was a great hire. Robert coaches the softball ladies, and, again, he didn't get to where he needed to go, but, again, a solid foundation. He's got some great young ladies coming back. He's got some good pitchers, and does a fine job with those young ladies.
That's the athletics program at the University of Pikeville, and we're talking with Dr. Reggie Overton, the athletics director at the university, and that's the athletic side of the discussion today. We want to talk about an academic issue, and that's one of the most exciting new programs at the university. It's a recently created master's degree in sports management. one of the reasons you came here,
Right.
not just as athletics director, but I know the vision of Governor Paul Patton and President Patton, seeing the sports management program get off the ground. It's a part of the Division of Business and Economics. Let's talk about the program in general.
Well, I'll say this, and just to back up, Governor Patton President Pat was always supportive when we were going through the hiring process, that I had a vision, we had a vision to develop an academic program that would fit the needs of our 600 student athletes, 603, I think. And that, you think about that, it's a number, but when I tell people that that's more than University of Louisville, or the more student athletes than University of Kentucky, it amazes them, especially a school that's counting everything, maybe 1,600 students, 1,800 students. So we needed a program that not necessarily would be easy for them, but one that would fit their mentality and where they're coming from. Some of them want to be coaches, some of them want to be sports administrators. So it makes sense to have a sport management degree when that your target audience is the largest demographic on campus. So and Governor Patton and myself and James Hurley were all on board with that. So they had that was my charge, and they said, "Well, can you develop this in a couple years?" And I said, "How about a couple months?" And we've been very lucky. But lucky is, again, an old sports play. The more you practice, the luckier you get.
Sure.
And I've done a lot of these programs, and I've had a lot of help here on campus in the fact that when you've got someone like Tom Hess, who is over academics, vice president, and Howard Roberts, who has chaired the business division,
Sure.
It just made it that much easier and quicker. So we've got to the point now, not only, Andrew, that we have a grad program that will begin in the fall, but also we've got an undergraduate specialization with 21 hours already built into the business division. So it's clicked, everything's fell into place, and hopefully the rest of the way will be smooth too.
Some of the classes that will be offered in the sports management program, what are they?
Well, in undergrad and grads, it's basically the same thing. As far as the grad, obviously, is going to be more detailed and more practitioner-based, but you have sport law, sport facilities, intro to sport management, sport ethics. I don't know if I said sport marketing, but that's the core. That's the core. And the capstone course is internship.
Sure.
And that is a 6-hour credit. And they do practitioner-based work on the job. They'll work for a sport entity for 270 clock hours for 6 semesters, hour credit. And as you already know, one of our young ladies, it's Billy Watson's two-guard, Jennifer Grant from Florida, is not only a wonderful student, but has come into the sport management program, and we landed an internship this summer with the Dallas Mavericks. So she'll be beginning that less than a month, which is great for our program and, of course, great for her. That just opens up so many doors, and what we envision is she goes in and does a bang-up job. Dr. Overton gets world championship tickets. Andrew Joyce gets world championship tickets. But no, seriously, I'm going to go out and visit her. That's one of the good things about being the head of a program. You do get to go out and supervise and make sure that she's getting what she needs from an educational experience. When I did some internships in Philadelphia, it may not be the case. You don't want to be cleaning urinals, and I've done that, and putting out cigarette butts for people. You don't want that. So I'm going to go out and make sure that the Mavericks are giving her what she needs. So we're very excited about that. And that's the undergrad piece.
It's a great opportunity,
Yes.
and that's something that can be used as a recruiting tool as well.
Exactly.
You land that type of internship for an undergraduate who's an athlete
Mm-hmm.
to land with a professional franchise in that type of role. It can only look to springboard the program, both undergraduate and the master's program.
Right.
Let's talk about the program. When does it begin?
The undergrad, believe it or not, I've taught a class this semester. Well, I'm currently teaching a class, facilities, and so we're on board right now, and we'll go full bore in the summer, and then in the fall we'll really have our numbers up. We look to have undergrad. It's going to be hard, Andrew. Let's say we'll have 200 or 300 people in this program almost immediately because of the student athletes.
Right.
Facility class, just real quick, they did a great job. It was 12 people in class, all student athletes from soccer, basketball, women's basketball, had everything in there, bowlers. So it was a great unit, good mix. One of their big projects, we went down to Letcher County and looked at their recreation facility. And we're hoping one day, we're trying to get the finances together, to have a nice recreation facility on our campus.
Sure.
So I had our students design what they would want in a recreation facility, and we've given that to Vice President Hurley, and Governor Patton will look at it, and hopefully some of their ideas will hit home and use some of those ideas.
There you have it.
Yeah.
Of course, the program underway, and want to back up because we've talked about student athletes being involved in this program. Very sports-minded, obviously, but open to all students, any prospective students. Perhaps someone's not an athlete because of injury, what have you, but they're very sports-minded as well. It's also open to any of those as well.
It sure is.
The master's degree program in sports management, how long will it take to complete? 33
hours, Andrew, and 6 of that, again, is an internship. So in-class traditional classes, you would have 9 classes, 9 3-semester-hour classes, 27 plus the 1 class that's the internship for 6, for a total of 33. If you had somebody, it's not a cohort group, so you can come in either in the fall, summer, or winter. If you come in a typical fall and we're taking full-time, which would be between 9 and 12 hours, technically you could finish it in a calendar year. You could go fall, spring, summer, and be finished. That's pie in the sky.
Sure.
Probably 4 semesters would be more realistic. And if you're taking part-time, maybe 5 semesters. But very doable. We hope, I've talked with Tom Hess and Howard Roberts, we hope to reach out and even have it online at some point to where we can reach out into other states and have them take some of the classes. But it's same type of classes. You'll have an ethics class, sport marketing, sport facilities, ethics class, which we really need in today's society with the way some of the businesses have gone south and some of the things are going on. And I mentioned the internship. So it's should meet the needs and prepare the people that are interested in sport management for a nice career in it.
Just was going to ask about the type of classroom setting.
Mm-hmm.
Classroom, of course, will be utilized, but also will there be opportunities for online classes at this stage in the program?
I'm going to say, Andrew, and this is a pure guess because I'm not an expert with the technology that we have on campus, but I'm going to say that within a year we could do that. Right now, the type of teacher that I am, and Dr. Hess and I talked about this last week, I'll direct the program, be in charge of the internships and the seminar program, which is, we'll call that the cake job. But it is the nuts and bolts of it. We're going to hire a new, hopefully, knock on wood, we're going to hire a new person to come in, full-time professor of sport management, and do the traditional classrooms, the traditional being in and doing the lecturing and writing on the chalkboard and doing the X's and O's. I'm more getting them out in the field, going to Letcher County, going to the Dallas Mavericks, doing fundraisers for the program. That's what I'm going to be responsible for, and that's what, I'll be honest with you, I'll be a little cocky, that's what I'm good at. And I think it's going to be a very successful program.
Dr. Reggie Overton, the University of Pikeville Athletics Director and Director of the new Sports Management program at the university. We talked about internship opportunities. Already a high-profile internship landed with the Dallas Mavericks. What are some other opportunities that students might have for internships?
Well, we've set the bar high. I don't want everybody to think that, to be successful you've got to go with an NBA team. You certainly could go to local government and run a Parks and Rec league, which is just as equally satisfying and important to a community. And is challenging. It's challenging, and needs a lot of help in that area. You could, in the past, at other schools, Jim Host, at that time, Host Communications, took on a lot of my interns. And we'll talk about hopefully we can talk about our athletic banquet that was yesterday. We had a guest speaker, Mike Godfrey, and he's willing to take some interns and has taken some of my interns in the past with his bowl game, the GoDaddy.com Bowl down in Mobile, and his Team Focus Camp, which is a camp for fatherless boys. So I'll never will forget this, Andrew. When I was at Temple, my mentor told me, Reggie, you can put the word sport in front of any word, any noun, and come up with a niche. And that's what we're looking at, how big this sport industry is.
Sure.
You have sport caterers.
Right.
That's responsible for food, sport facilities. You have sport at the Super Bowl, sports security for those events. And I could go on and on. A sports information director.
Sure.
Back to your point, if you have an English major or a journalism major that's interested in sports, they could come into the sport management degree, come and do an internship for Andrew Joyce and Keith
Sure.
Casebolt. Wouldn't that be something?
I could put them to work today, and I promise they would find some benefit.
Yeah.
What are some career opportunities for someone with a sports management master's degree?
Master's degree, well, just reverse right then. You could get in if you're a journalist. You could work for a radio station as doing play-by-play or being director of sports. You could certainly do that on an ESPN level, on a national level, on TV. You could work with and the company's changed so much now, I'll probably mess this up, but I'll use Nabisco. It used to be the Nabisco Dinah Shore. They probably don't have that anymore.
Right.
But you could work as a corporate in charge of corporate sponsorships for a big sport corporation entity for the Super Bowl or for a golf tournament. You could be an athletic director at a university setting, a high school setting. You could be a sport caterer, as we talked about, in charge of food at Aramark for the Bengals. Sports security, as I mentioned before. So it's just, you could put that word sport in front of about anything that you can think of,
Sure.
and you could come up with a job. And today, it's important in today's society. I'll preach a little bit now. You need to be a chameleon. You really need to have different opportunities and find that niche and be able to move around in sports as much as you can.
And find that thing that you're good at.
Exactly.
And we talk about sports facilities. One of the classes in the program,
Right.
think of the East Kentucky Expo Center, the
Right.
closest facility of that type in our region. And, of course, an SMG company, before being taken over by the city of Pikeville with the ownership role there. But SMG has facilities throughout the country.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's somewhere that an intern could land in, and it could turn into a future job.
And sport facility, it's a big business, and it's a difficult business, just like sport entertainment and doing special events, just like that athletic banquet yesterday. It's a lot of behind the scenes things that go on, as you know, even in a radio broadcast, that the people out in radio or TV land or the average spectator would never see, and that's
Sure.
a good thing. When they don't see it or notice it, you've done a good job.
Absolutely.
And that's two great career fields, which I've done in the past when I was going through the motions of getting my degrees. I did many internships. Did one with at a track event called the Penn Relays up in Philadelphia. Just invaluable experience
Right.
if you get the right mentor in the right
Sure.
situation.
Sure, absolutely. Dr. Reggie Overton, University of Pikeville Athletics Director, and Dr. Overton, we are just about out of time, but we want to talk about how someone, a prospective student, maybe a high school graduate, or maybe someone who has a couple of years college under their belt, they've knocked out most of their basics, their core classes, and they would like more information on the sports management program, both undergrad or master's program. How can they get that information?
The best thing right now, and to do it the right way, they can certainly call me or they can email me at reginaldoverton@upike.com, and I'll answer any and all questions I can. But really the right chain of command would be to go through Gary Justice with admissions and his camp there, or even James Hurley if he's out and about visiting the high schools. There is opportunities, and again, not my level of expertise. That's Gary Justice and James's camp, but many times can get high school dual credit. We're trying to work that out with the sport management too.
Sure.
So I encourage. I'm going to be out and about and trying to recruit people as well, and I think that they're going to be pleasantly surprised when they get to UPike campus and see what we have to offer.
Dr. Reggie Overton, University of Pikeville Athletics Director. Graduation upon us.
Yes, Saturday.
From there,
Yep.
what's the next sporting event? The next athletic event on the
next-
University of Pikeville campus.
The next athletic event, and you put me on the spot, is going to be in August. Late August, we'll be playing a football game, and the name is escaping me now.
Okay.
But we'll say that we'll see you at Hambly Complex at some of the practices. How about that?
That we'll do that indeed. And we get a little break for summer.
Yeah.
Of course, with the new program kicking off, not much of a break. New building opening
Yeah.
with the field house as well. It's a busy time at the University of Pikeville, and I know you love it that way.
I love it that way, and let me take about 15 seconds and say that a good friend of mine, Mike Godfrey, did a wonderful job in front of 723 people at the Expo Center. Our student athletes loved that. We hadn't had a banquet like that in years,
Right.
And everybody was impressed, and it was a job well done by the University of Pikeville, and I appreciate the opportunity to let my good friend be there. He had a good message, and it was a great time.
Dr. Reggie Overton, a newcomer to the University of Pikeville community as athletic director nearly a year ago. Today, we're taking the newcomer tag away.
All right.
Welcome in. We've enjoyed having you the last year and look forward to many in the future.
Thanks. Everything you do, Andrew, you guys, Case Bolt, you guys do a great job up here, and I look forward to working with you in many years to come.
Indeed. Dr. Reggie Overton, University of Pikeville Athletics Director, our guest on Where the 99 Lead, a presentation of the University of Pikeville.